Anime that everyone loved until it vanished. Now this is another masked man joint. Again, you know that I'm constantly glazing on his manhood as much as I possibly can. I think he's one of the best creators on the entire platform, especially when it comes to anime and manga, and I am so excited every time I see a video come up in my feed that is the masked man. I put it on my watch later, and I want to just like share it with my audience. I want to engage with it. He is one of the few creators that I have full-heartedly said is one of my favorites on the platform. And with that being said, with my glazing being done, let's get into the anime everyone loved until it vanished.
If you were granted one single wish, what would it be? Would you rewrite your destiny? Would you desire riches beyond what the eye can see? Really think about it for a second. Alright, time's up. As for me, well, honestly, either of the first two sound pretty nice. If I had unlimited wishes, however, one of them would be for Season 3 of Magi.
Damn, son! That was sick as fuck! I've never heard of this, by the way. I've never heard of Magi, so maybe I just got a show that I can watch. Ooh, my nipples are tightening.
Remember Magi? Because it seems the studio in charge of it didn't, but Magi was one of the first anime I watched. Correction, it was The Adventures of Sinbad, a prequel series to Magi, and in search for more of the fucking goat himself, I stumbled upon a series I love to this day. But it wasn't just me. Over a decade ago, oh my god, it was over a decade ago, Magi would get an anime adaptation in 2012 titled Magi Labyrinth of Magic. That year, it was 9th in sales, right below Hunter x Hunter. What makes the sales impressive for that year is the first...
Bro, by the way, I really like Hunter x Hunter, but I don't think that it is a perfect masterpiece that everybody says it is. I think Hunter x Hunter is an incredible show, but the fact that each arc feels like it could have been its own condensed story, and they attach to each other, but they don't really fully attach to each other in the same way, makes it a hard rewatch, right? When I look at that same, like, a lot of people say that, like, Yo-Yo Hakusho is, good, but it's not as good as Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter did everything better that Yo-Yo tried to do. I think Yo-Yo's much better in almost every way in terms of like an overarching story and how it builds upon itself. Now, you might disagree. That's fine. I think Hunter x Hunter does this thing where some characters feel important and then they're just gone, and then they come back, and then sometimes they come back just to die, and you're like, oh, well, I don't even remember this guy. Why am I supposed to feel bad that they died? And I as much as I love what Hunter x Hunter does, I think that it gets overglazed and not enough pushback. And I think that Yo-Yo gets a lot of kind of revisionist looking back as it being simple and not as impressive as it was for the time it came out, when I think it's incredible.
First season of the anime released from late 2012 through 2013, immediately followed by a second season titled Magi Kingdom of Magic, which was released from 2013 through 2014. Those next 2 years, Magi would climb up the rankings and then remain in the top 10, being 4th in 2013 and 8th in 2014. Fans eagerly awaited Season 3, as the story was getting better and better. But then a year passed, then another year. We got a spin-off season of a prequel series, Adventures of Sinbad, so now fans were waiting for Season 2 of Sinbad and Season 3 of Magi. But a year passed, then another.
So I think what I'm saying here, yeah, it's on Amazon, right? So I think Amazon has the English dub, because I think I was gonna watch this on Crunchyroll, and I don't believe the dub is on Crunchyroll, so I might have to check Amazon. I think I might have to try Amazon and see if the English dub is there, because I really wanted to watch this. This is something that I've seen the artwork for, and I've seen the cover art, and I thought this looks so sick. Because a couple nights ago, I was actually looking at this, and I don't start any show in sub. I'm sorry. You're never going to catch me watching it. And I know a lot of people, a lot of you elitists out there are going to get really annoyed that I said that, and I'm sorry. But for me, I want to like hone in on the action. I want to like soak in the visual detail of this show, because that is such an important part of anime that when I'm also reading the subtitles, I am going to miss a portion of that. There is going to be a portion of that is missed. But when I start a show in dub, like let's say Solo Leveling, that's the one that I've watched some in sub. I've watched up to the point where the sub has, or the dub is stopped, and then I start watching in sub. I've already gotten a lot of context for the show, where my mind can fill in any blanks when I'm jumping from artwork to the sub. Like, That's just kind of my preference or perspective on it.
Then another. And now a decade later and still nothing. Magi as a manga has finished, sitting at 369 chapters, and same with Adventures of Sinbad sitting at 182. Die-hard fans still have no word on what happened with the anime disappearing, and the world has long since moved on. Still, the story of Magi is beloved for good reasons. The setting of Magi is one of the most memorable aspects of it, having loose inspiration from Arabian Nights. It's an Arabic setting where no one looks Arab, but it's anime, so fuck it. In my video about Soul Eater, which was barely about Soul Eater, it's a long rant about the importance of style, which Magi has in spades.
Oh. Oh. Oh no, this is bad news, guys. Now, I don't know how... So, when will Magi... This is something I pulled up on my end, because, again, there's some time between... So, Magi the Labyrinth of Magic bids farewell. TBS terminates the show. No Season 3. Now... this sucks. Is renewed for another season or canceled. Get acquainted with the latest from blah blah blah. On TBS, Magi the Labyrinth Magic is a 30-minute. Shut the fuck up. Unfortunately, TBS decided not to pick up Magi for the season 3. Magi the Magic is canceled. Yep, it's done. It's dead. It's gone. This is unfortunate. So there will be no season 3. It's done, dude. That's sad, bro. That's mad sad, dude. I hate when something never gets a finishing thing. I think that's what I was watching World Trigger, but World Trigger only about half the episodes are dubbed, which is annoying. And then I found out that I will never get an ending to it, which made me not want to like work through the sub. So oh, this sucks, dude. I hate when something never gets a chance, dude. That hurts. I mean, this is what I feel like the Magi fans now understand the Berserk fans.
And it's a world with substance, not just flash. Lore that makes it feel layered and provides aspects that each have a strong appeal, introducing us to the magic via one of the main characters and the dungeons, but then evolves into different kingdoms, managing war and politics, creating a blend of magic and real-world issues, explored mainly through the two main characters of the series, Aladdin and Alibaba. Aladdin is introduced being clearly not from this world, and his origins being built up through the series. He runs into Alibaba, an individual who seems to only care for riches, but it then becomes apparent to Aladdin that Alibaba is good at heart and a special human being. Aladdin is revealed to be an anomaly early on, a fourth Magi, in a world that is only supposed to have 3. Beings of immense magical power that can alter the course of humanity by summoning dungeons and guiding special people known as king vessels.
So it looks like, so I found this from a comic book, or Game Rant, I mean. So it says that I need to watch the Adventures of Sinbad, I guess, soon. But it looks like Sinbad was completed, right? And then in 2018, and it looks like it's just, it just looks like it's never gonna be fucking done, dude. I want it. Just like I would love to see them reboot this or something. It's so weird how Japan like will see something that has potential and then like not give it its time and day, but then fucking like Overlord will get like 87 seasons and Overlord is fucking trash, dude. Overlord is so boring.
To conquer these dungeons and gain immense power granted to them by jinns, powerful magic beings that test people who enter the dungeon and decide if they will serve the person. Usually,
speaking of another show that has jinns that just fucking sucks, there's this one on Netflix called like, oh shit, or not Netflix, oh shit, dude, I can't remember the name of it, bro. Crunchyroll is always advertising it. Crunchyroll. Oh shit! It's like a fighting one. Boki. Dude, what the fuck is it? Dude, I'm like going insane right now, bro. I'm like trying to think how the the best way of going about this. Oh, dude, I can't. It's like Bone King Coco or something. It starts with a B, and basically this kid finds this genie that makes him a fighter, and it's one of the most fucking awful things I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's just like he has like the spirit of a fucking Bone Kiko or some shit, and he's like a fighter, or he like joins the game. It's stupid. It's fucking retarded. It's so fucking bad, and that's able to get like tons of production value and tons of advertising. But then shit like this that looks fucking cool just dies.
People only conquer one dungeon, therefore having the power of one Jin. With this power, they can transform via Jin equips, leading to some of the dopest designs and not a complicated system, but a fun one within Battle Shonen. Alibaba is a bastard prince who Aladdin guides and conquers the dungeon of Aman, but with great power comes a fuck ton of headaches. Alibaba, feeling the duty to help his fallen country of Balbad, gets involved with some very powerful individuals at the top of the world's food chain, the Kingdom of Ko and their Magi Judar, a user of Dark Rook. Rook being those butterflies you see, and they inhabit everything and are what souls return to. They are the magic source of this series. Yeah, Judar controls the evil version of that, and is who I place here on the tier list of Magi characters, who are trying to take over Balbad. But then another character steps in to help Alibaba and ensure that the Ko Empire isn't out of control. The man to capture the first dungeon and lead this new era of kings and magic. User of 7 different Jins. Adventurer, conqueror and playboy of the 7 seas. The king of Sindria. And the fucking goat, Sinbad. This character was...
Oh, dude, that was sick. I love when people put in a fucking edit like that, bro.
One of 3 things that had an irreversible impact on my personality in the 2010s. This character was so beloved that he got a spin-off manga detailing his adventures before we meet him in Magi, and that manga would get an adaptation, although only 1 season of an anime. Ladies, I know the recent obsession has been the men in JJK, but I mean, come on. Deadbeat, dumped at a KFC, and has as much communication skills as your ex. Versus King of the 7 Seas. Sinbad, in all seriousness, is an excellent portrayal of the strongest, mixed in with a character cursed with seeing fate itself. Probably my favorite, since he explores the nuances of having to guide a country and the balance of the world itself.
By the way, I found that anime. It's called Bokirgi or whatever. This shit is fucking awful. This shit is fucking atrocious. It is a waste of time. It is a waste of space. The main protagonist is one of the most insufferable cucks I've ever seen in my entire life. And it just sucks that this thing gets all this production value and all this time, but then other shit doesn't get any time. This is fucking awful. Like, I fucking hate this. I think this should burn in the fires of hell. This is so retarded. I kept trying to watch it. I got like 4 episodes in, and he never gets redeemable. I actually looked up to see if he gets any better, and everybody talks about how much he's of an asshole he is, and he doesn't seem to get better. And I was like, I'm done, dude. I'm not going into another anime where I hate the fucking main protagonist this much and putting myself through that. I already did that with Naruto. I'm not doing that ever again. I'm not, like, some people might get mad that I'm comparing this to Naruto, but fuck this guy, dude. I fucking hate this show.
Including what we then see in Adventures of Sinbad, he goes from a wide-eyed adventurer to getting your hands dirty and becoming what at one point you detested. A character that has one of my favorite moments of introspection and honesty, but still needing others to call out his flaws. At the beginning of Adventures of Sinbad, his character is pretty standard, and he comes off less interesting than he does in Magi, but the more the story goes on in the manga, the burden and fine lines you have to walk when you are perceived as special makes for an interesting prequel series, adding more context to the character we see throughout the series, especially when it comes to the final arc. Whenever he appears in Magi, however, there is a massive shift that is about to happen. Meanwhile, the story jumps between Aladdin and Alibaba as they get separated often. This is one of the more unique aspects of Magi, where it really does have 2 central protagonists that it switches between almost every other arc, and you get to see them grow on their own and then come together. Aladdin learns more about his origins and the origins of the world, and his desire to love humanity and believe in them being put to the test when he witnesses death and war and the cycle of it all. Alibaba, meanwhile, is learning more about the world when it comes to the realm of politics, and what it takes to properly guide people by working with them instead of ruling over them, seeing when he turns Balbad into a republic instead of becoming its king, despite having a rightful place on the throne. Another aspect of Alibaba that almost slipped my mind was the great comedy with the character that is very well timed and helps break tension, since sometimes this series can be a lot with the information that it gives you. And Morgiana is another important character, being a household vessel, someone who works under a king's vessel. She was freed from slavery by Aladdin and Alibaba, is in our introduction to one of the most powerful races on the planet, the Fenaris. Also Hakuryu, a prince of the Ko Empire who wishes to destroy it and exact revenge on his mother. It's an anime law for a character with black hair to explore revenge, but what I appreciate about Magi and its characters in general is that it explores these concepts but takes it a step further than most series would, making the characters feel more than the tropes they fall under. So a very strong cast of characters, some of which get even better once you read Adventures of Sinbad, particularly those that have to do with the Kingdom of Sindria. In Magi, the series begins as a lighthearted adventure, but as these characters get stronger and learn more, it shifts into a more mature series. It's easy to see why it had the success mentioned at the start of the video, once brought to life in the anime, but when the next season was due to push the series even more, it never came. There isn't really anything I could find stating why Season 3 of Magi never came out. The only interview I saw in regards to the author was her talking about Orient, but there are multiple factors that when put together paint an unfortunate...
By the way, Orient is fucking fire. I love Orient.
...reality. Beginning with the studio that was in charge of Magi, A1 Pictures. A1 is interesting. Helping put series on the map and push them to new heights of popularity with strong first seasons. Blame them for the second explosion of solo leveling and making isekai popular with Sword Art Online. But also they have Fairy Tail, Fate Grand Order and Apocrypha, Kaguya-sama, 86, Space Brothers...
I actually really like a Fairy Tail. I think Fairy Tail's pretty good. I enjoy Fairy Tail a lot. I don't know why. There's just I know Fairy Tail's like kind of mid a lot of times, but it's just fun. I don't know. Fairy Tail's one that I don't... It's Fairy Tail for me is like Bleach, right? Bleach isn't incredible by any stretch of the term or anything, but it's just a fun time. It's something that I can, when I don't have anything else to watch, I can go back and I can like continue where I was at in Bleach or Fairy Tail, and I'm still enjoying myself. That's something to be attested.
Brothers, Erased. They have a good track record of giving things good adaptations regardless of the quality of the material they have to work with. They also, however, have a track record of mishandling production of certain series. Magi, Blue Exorcist, which was previously covered, and Seven Deadly Sins, which is probably the most popular example.
Okay, I take everything back I said about, like, even that article I found about TBS. I don't know why TBS was attached to Magi. Anyways... maybe that was just a different show. Well, no, because it brought up Sinbad. I don't know. But here's something. Maybe, because they did bring Blue Exorcist back. Blue Exorcist did get, is back. It's still running hard. I didn't think it would ever come back. So, you never know with this type of shit. Maybe Magi will get the love it deserved. I don't want to take hope from people, right? I want to be the fucking hope guy. I want you to hope to come will rain down from the heavens above and just glaze you over with the anime excellence. But I don't want to, like, fully take away your dreams, and now that I know that they were also the people who did Blue Exorcist, there's hope to be had, motherfuckers.
With the later seasons they made being a frequent example of awful animation.
Okay, I'm not even going to talk about awful animation. Seven Deadly Sins is like just awful in general. That shit is fucking trash.
It could be theorized that A1 decided to move on from Magi to work on Seven Deadly Sins, given the timeline of events.
Fuck, that is such a piss poor choice. This shit's disgusting to watch. It is like, so I thought it was like funny the first season, and then like it got weird because there's like the mortal character that wants to like sex up a child, but no, she's not a child. She's like 1,000-year-old. Shut the fuck up. It's a kid, bro. It's disgusting. And there's like the lion, the guy who's like the lion or pride or whatever. He's like the only interesting like character. And I watched the whole thing. I kept waiting for it to fucking hit because everybody talks about this being good. There is nothing good about this anime. It just sucks. It just fucking sucks. It's like Coomer shit, bro.
That it was close to matching Magi in sales in 2014 without an anime, since its first season came out late 2015, talking about Seven Deadly Sins. The anime for Magi had caught up to the manga, and it seemed like the most logical step. making 1 or 2 seasons and then leaving the rest without an adaptation to push viewers to read and buy the manga is a common practice when it comes to series. Also, you can move on to a series that is guaranteed to do well given the popularity it has already without an anime adaptation. A1 might have also learned from their previous mistakes with Blue Exorcist, going off the canon with a bunch of filler and releasing a season years later when there was no longer the same interest might not have been something they wanted to do with Magi. A different studio would be in charge of Adventures of Sinbad, Ladus Productions, which also worked on Fate Grand Order and a whole bunch of bullshit, not gonna lie to you. So why is there no season 2 of Sinbad? No clue. Look, I know, I don't know, but like, what do you want me to do, lie to you? There isn't any information on the sales of Adventures of Sinbad, and it's not like they had anything else to work on. The only assumption I can make is they decided to call it after 1 season and leave the rest for the manga readers. Magi was possibly abandoned for a series that would end up being a laughingstock, and Adventures of Sinbad got slapped with the hit and quit. At this point, Magi Season 3 can be put up there with Vagabond coming back and Asura's Wrath remake, Kid Icarus Uprising.
Ugh, Asura's Wrath. So Asura's Wrath had a fun story, but the gameplay... A lot of people hated on me when I did a review on Asura's Wrath. See, I didn't know anything. I thought it was a God of War clone. It is basically a fucking... You're watching an anime where every once in a while you get to play a game. And for a video game, it's trash. For an anime, it's okay.
Ported to the Switch 2, Bloodborne being ported to PC, and the Raiders winning another Super Bowl. A whole bunch of desperate code.
By the way, I don't think that the fucking Asura's Wrath deserves a remake. I don't. There's not enough gameplay there to justify it being a fucking video game. Not to mention the 872 microtransaction fucking DLCs it wanted you to buy just so you could see the end of the game. Nah, fuck that, dude.
But as the anime disappeared, the manga continued strong, reaching its most interesting point where we get strong character moments for Alibaba in the next arc. The origins of the world and Aladdin are revealed to all of the important players in what could have been a massive war. What I believe to be the absolute best character moments for Aladdin, Alibaba, Sinbad, Judar, and Hakuryu are all in the final arcs. The final 3 arcs I will touch up on my issues with, but overall are fantastic, especially the second to last arc, Co-Empire, which put me through one hell of an emotional roller coaster with one of my favorite fights ever, making it all the more frustrating that we never got a season 3 or 4 of Magi, because with the right animation, so many amazing moments could be brought to life. If someone wants to leave a comment as a petition to have A1 drop Solo Leveling and put all their effort into Magi, feel free.
Okay, we're not doing that. I'm sorry. I haven't watched Magi. I'm sure it's good, but fuck you. Why does everybody fucking hate on Solo Leveling so much? Just because it's popular? I know it's kind of generic, but it's fucking awesome, dude. Like, there's so much other shit that you can say, like Seven Deadly Sins was trash. I 100%. If Seven Deadly Sins was still running, I would say we could cut Seven Deadly Sins. That shit is fucking awful. But Solo Leveling is fucking awesome, dude. It's such a fun... Like, the fights are awesome as fuck. So... Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. No, we're not ending Solo Leveling. I love me some Solo Leveling. Let's not fucking get ahead of ourselves.
Last thing I want is a half-assed, boring disappointment of a remake like we have with Kenshin and Shaman King. The series for a moment takes on a very different feel at the beginning of the very last arc, having to do with war via negotiations and trade. But the final arcs as a whole are truly something to remember. I really like the ending of Magi overall, but admittedly, parts of it feel overwhelming. Which doesn't make me feel as if the series ended poorly, but that there is a lot of information, a lot of new information.
You know what I think is one of the problems people have with Solo Leveling and Sword Art Online. Now, I like Sword Art Online. I watched all the way through the Gun Gale arc, and I think the arc after that. Actually, I don't think I finished the arc after that. The Gun Gale arc was fucking awesome, and I need to finish Sword Art Online. But I went into Sword Art Online expecting it to be dog shit because everybody said it was dog shit. And I think where this comes from, and this is something that happens with a lot of shows, a lot of movies, it happens with the Marvel movies, where something will come out, it'll be good, it'll be fun, it'll be engaging, but because of how popular it is, a bunch of other schlop comes out that is similarly or tied to it or using the same principles, and it's so overly saturated because they're trying to jump on the success of these other things that it then makes people retroactively go in and hate what these other popular ones are doing. Because of their popularity, you have all this other shit, and then some of this shit that you really like isn't getting the same time in the sun. And I think that that is such a disingenuous way to look at things instead of, and I'm not saying Masked Man is doing that. I want to be very clear about that, but I think that that is kind of the overall sentiment towards Sword Art Online and Solo Leveling, is because they exist and because of their popularity. You have a lot of like bullshit like, I came in a sock, so I was rebirthed as a Giga Chad OP character, right? We've seen it so much at this point, and it's all because of stuff like Solo Leveling, Sword Art Online, and some of these other ones that boom to massive popularity. They then lump their existence in to fucking Solo Leveling and Sword Art, and then I use that to hate those, and I think that's super unfair. Now, am I saying Solo Leveling is the most original thing in the world? No, but I do think what it's doing with the story it has is pretty fucking cool. It's kept me engaged with every single fucking episode. I am fucking hooked. Now, I don't know where it's gonna go after season 2. It might jump the shark like in the most worst, horrible way ever. But as it sits right now, I want to learn the secret behind the reason that these fucking portals are opening up in the world. I want to learn all this other stuff that is like the deeper underlying issues of everything that is causing this shit to happen. There is so much about Solo Leveling that I still have questions on, and I'm slowly getting pieces each new episode, each new iteration, and I want to be engaged, and I feel like it's getting unfairly hated on because there's so much bullshit that is done piss poorly, but it was created just to jump on the success of that show.
Isn't really given the time to be grounded and absorbed before we are shot into the next groundbreaking revelation, going from a magical series to a massive lore dump for an entire arc, a good one nonetheless, but still lore dump, back to a magical war series to a series about politics and trade. These were all different aspects that were sprinkled in throughout, but in the final stretch of Magi, it is easy to get the feeling that it is a jarring shift to one jarring shift. Then finally going from trade to a huge moral debate about how to best handle the fate of the world and the role of God. It's the climax of this grand debate about what truth even is, the nature of fate, and having each character provide an answer of what they believe and try to figure it all out. It does a good job of addressing these things, and the lore is very interesting and makes sense, but I think some better pacing with each of these things would have really knocked it out of the park. There is speculation that the author was rushed to finish Magi quickly, but regardless of the amount that happens in the end of Magi, it being able to remain reasonable where most series would fall apart is impressive. I think if the series had 500 chapters, or at the very least more chapters right after the end, it would have been a bit more of a smooth read. Still, rereading it for this video was a blast, and I would highly recommend anyone to check out everything this series has out. In fact, here is a quick guide for those that want to get into Magi through the anime and continue the manga where it leaves off. Magi Season 1 and 2 has a total of 50 episodes, which covers the first 198 chapters of the manga, ending off on the Magnastad arc. Adventures of Sinbad has 13 episodes, which covers the first 55 chapters of the manga, ending off at the Artemyra arc, legit right before it gets good. Even though I have a soft spot for Adventures of Sinbad, I wouldn't recommend the anime in place of the manga early on, and I also wouldn't recommend it before Magi even though it's a prequel, since Sinbad's character in Magi helps add context to what happens early in Adventures of Sinbad, to create a sense of intrigue in how this character transforms, instead of the feeling that Sinbad is a Gary Stu that will never face any challenges. The rest of the series goes on to prove that wrong, but if you only went off Season 1 of Adventures of Sinbad, I can see that happening. Magi, however, is worth going through the anime first if that is your preference. Wishing for Magi Season 3 at this point is unrealistic. I seem to never have any luck with the series I have a deep love for. Pondering over what could have been also serves
But again, Blue Exorcist came back, so you never fucking know, dude.
no use. Since yes, we could have gotten a great Season 3 and 4, or Magi could have ended up being in Seven Deadly Sins' place. Instead, I wish for something
Fuck Seven Deadly Sins. This shit is fucking atrocious.
a bit more realistic and simple. That those of you that haven't given this series a try do so, and those of you that are already in the Sinbad fan club, put someone else on. Some of my favorite characters ever, great comedy and action, and a story that asks many questions and explores the flaws of the world and its characters seriously with a lot of thought and care while still providing hope. No matter who you are and what your destiny is, we can all come to an understanding. Even if the anime never returns, Magi will always be a story worth telling.
By the way, I'm gonna hate you guys with something really controversial right here. This is I think the best isekai, like, I'm not saying it's an isekai, but it is kind of he's pulled from his real life into another world. so it's almost isekai, but I don't know if it counts exactly, is the one where it's like Welcome to Demon School. I can't remember the guy's name, but it's Welcome to Demon School. I fucking loved that show. I don't know what about, I loved it so fucking much. It was so hilarious. I loved every single episode. I can't wait for another season. Now, if when this video goes live, as like a standalone video, and I see a comment saying that it gets canceled, I purposely try to avoid any news about that show, just hoping that the next season comes out, and I'm just a happy boy. I swear to God, I will be broken. So I please do not give me any information. I just hope to one day see a fucking little thing on my watch later saying there's new episodes out, and I will fucking cry because I love Welcome to Demon School. But yeah, that was a good video. I need to watch this show. This is one that I've seen. I think Amazon has the dub, so I might have to check it out. At least the first 2 seasons, see if I like it. I do hate that 7 Deadly Sins was the thing that replaces it, because I fucking hate 7 Deadly Sins. So like there's a few anime that I just absolutely despise, and it's up there with Naruto's one that I really don't like, and 7 Deadly Sins I think is the worst thing I've ever fucking watched from beginning to end. And I kept, like, everybody talked about it, so I was like, eventually it's got to get good, right? It's got to get good if so many people talk about it. No, it doesn't get good. It just fucking mids its way through its entire fucking existence. It's trash. I hate it. It's garbage. But that's all I got for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.